On the suite level of Dow Diamond, this is Success Suite. I'm Sarah Stockford, and with me today is Mara Stewart. Mara is the Executive Director of Affordable Housing Alliance. She's a Midland native, and she's also a member of the Rotary Club of Midland, and also performs with the Midland Concert Band. So, Mara, welcome.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here today.
Yes, I know. I feel like I've seen your face. I said this to Jennifer last time, too. I see your face everywhere, but we haven't actually sat down to talk. So,
yeah, I'm excited.
This is perfect. Yeah. Awesome. Well, for folks who don't really know much about the Affordable Housing Alliance, can you kind of fill us in on your guys' mission and what you do in the community?
Absolutely. So the Affordable Housing Alliance was originally founded from the Problem Solving Committee of United Way back in 1993. So they saw a need for more affordable housing here in Midland County. So they put this committee together, and they're like, okay, we need some sort of organization that can help with housing, help our community grow. And that's how we were founded and born, was from the Problem Solving Committee of United Way. From there, we became a 501c3. And since the beginning, we have built and or acquired 93 units across the county.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yep.
I know, because I kind of did a little bit of research, too, just to kind of educate myself on it, because I don't know if I fully knew what it was. But you guys have grown significantly since you started in 2022. So what do you think kind of contributed to all of that and your plan for the Housing Alliance?
Yeah, so our mission is to provide safe, affordable housing for those in need. And my predecessor did a great job of building the organization. He was around from the very beginning. He is the one that helped to get all of the buildings built. We built 67 of those units. The rest of them we did acquire in some shape or form. And then it got to the point where they focused on just doing the day-to-day things and helping the residents and being more of a property manager. So when I came on board, I was looking at that, and they were so focused on just keeping it rolling that I thought we had a lot of opportunity to look at updating the units. They were well maintained and they were still safe and affordable, but none of them had been renovated. Grove Street Commons was the original location that was built, and that was completed in 1998-ish. And it's still on its original roof.
Okay.
And I don't know much about construction because that's not where my specialty lies, but I know that a roof is not going to last forever.
Mm-hmm.
So looking at the portfolio that we had and the different options that we had, I knew that we needed to do something and do something a little drastic.
Mm-hmm.
A roof is not cheap.
Yes. Yes.
And we are serving these families, these community members, and it's their home. And we want to take care of that and make sure that they're not displaced. Because housing is a really big need, and we didn't want to lose what we already had. In addition to that, the organization has had some land. For those of you that have been around Midland forever, it's where the original curling club used to be, out Bay City Road on Gerald Court. So we own that parcel, and the organization has been able to build a duplex on it, but there's still a lot of room there. So looking at what we had and what the opportunities were, we enlisted a consulting firm that specializes in what we do. We're utilizing low-income housing tax credits, which comes through the state of Michigan, the Michigan State Housing Development Authority. And it's a pretty complex process. I'm learning something every day about it. So we brought in the experts to really analyze our portfolio and decide that was the best way to move forward, was to basically revitalize these tax credits. And from that, it basically gave us the whole plan of, okay, within the next couple of years, we need to work on getting the portfolio in order so we can look at renovating all of our units in addition to building additional units.
That's awesome. I know, I feel like even just driving around and seeing the new construction and even things that you guys are doing and hearing about the things you're doing, it's great because, everyone needs a home and housing prices are insane. And so also just to see that and see the community grow, it's exciting, I think, coming back.
It is
moving
exciting.
away and coming back and seeing all of that.
Yeah, and Midland is an amazing community.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we live in a really cool spot.
Mm-hmm.
And to know that there are our community members out there that are struggling, and honestly, affordable housing kind of gets a bad rap. People hear that and they don't necessarily think about the best situations, but affordable is different for everybody. You can make a lot of money and you're still going to have a budget. You're still going to be like, this is affordable or this is not affordable. And we want to make sure that we're able to invite everybody into our community. a lot of the people that we serve, we need and want in our community. So we serve people that fall between 30 and 50% of Midland's median income.
Wow.
And that number changes, that amount changes depending on how many people live in the home. But we have like a substitute teacher. We have childcare workers, a lot of admin staff, wait staff. So if you still want your favorite restaurant to be there and someone be there to serve you your food, they need to be able to find a place where they can afford to live. So that's really the community members that we're serving with our housing.
That's great. Yeah, and it's everyday people. It's people you see out in the community, and
Exactly.
so there's a need for that too. So even I know we were talking about it a little bit off air, but kind of explain to me too it's Home Starts Here campaign.
Yes.
And I know we talked about you have till like November 20th. So if you don't mind, I know you're talking about stress and all that stuff. But with that, if you don't mind going into detail on that whole project.
Absolutely. So as part of this big project that I mentioned earlier, we're looking at building additional housing and we're looking at renovating housing. So this project will renovate 69 of our rental units, and then we'll build an additional 60 to 70 new units within the county. It's a huge project, and I'm really excited about it because it's preserving what we have and building new, so we have more options for our community members. But with that, of course, is a very large price tag. The overall project cost is about $45 million in order to get that done. We're utilizing low-income housing tax credits that I mentioned earlier that come through the state. We're looking to the Michigan State Housing Development Authority for direct lending through some of their programs too, specific to housing. The nonprofit itself is putting equity into the deal. And when that kind of all shakes out, at the end of the day, we have about a $6 million gap that we're trying to fill.
Okay.
Now, I am so super excited because we live in such an amazing community where we have a lot of support for the nonprofits. So we have our family foundations here in town that have been very supportive of the project. The Strosacker Foundation has granted us funds for this. The Gerstacker Foundation has granted us funds for this. And then the Herbert H. and Grace A. Dow Foundation is also granting us funds for this project. As part of the Herbert H. and Grace A. Dow Foundation grant, they have actually said that they will match up to $500,000 of donations for this project, for this Home Starts Here campaign, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So we have until November 20th to get as many of those matching dollars as we can.
So even going off of that, if someone wants to help or wants to support, how can they find the resources to support, or, do you guys need people? Who can they get in contact with?
Yeah, all of our information is on the website, ahamidland.org. We like to call ourselves AHA just because it's fun.
Yeah, love it.
So
nice and easy.
It's ahamidland.org is our website. There's a link right at the top that will take you to the campaign page. And you can see kind of what we're doing, what our ideas are, and also a campaign progress little chart as well. I'm also more than willing to talk to anybody who's interested in the project and how they can help in any capacity, whether that's just helping us get the word out to the community, pulling in their family and friends. If they're willing to donate, obviously that's really going to help push the project forward. We actually are going to do a campaign where you can basically like challenge your friends and family to see who can get the most money for this campaign.
Get a little competitive.
Yeah, so you can sign up and you can have basically your own web page with your own link that you can shoot out to people to donate to the campaign that will go directly to this Home Starts Here campaign.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So even like going back a little bit, how did you get into this work? I know you're a Midland native, and you've stayed in the community since college. You came back, correct? Okay. Yep. I was going to say, so what kind of kept you in the community? How did you get started in this work? Where did it kind of all start?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I did grow up here in Midland, and I think it's pretty common for a lot of people that grow up here, you don't realize what you have. So growing up, I was like, it's fine. Like, we've got some things to do, but there's not a ton to do. And then I went away to school, and I was like, actually, Midland has a ton of stuff. We have a lot of things going on. So I went off to school. I graduated from Adrian College. My degree is actually in arts management.
Nice.
So I was able to get a job at the Midland Center for the Arts after I graduated. So that's really what kept me here in town, is because I was able to get a job right out of school. And I was very thankful for that. So I started my career at the Center for the Arts in that nonprofit world, and I absolutely loved it. And I was there for quite a few years, and it just got to the point where I was ready for a new challenge. So I went from there. I did a little bit of time at a credit union, which was fun because I was in the communications marketing department where I got to hand out the money instead of ask for the money.
Which probably felt good, yeah.
Which felt great.
Yeah.
But I was still missing my connection to the nonprofit world. And I really felt a calling to go back into a place where I could really push and give back to the community, even if it meant going out and having to ask for the money again instead of giving it out. But from there, I was at Cancer Services, which is another amazing local nonprofit. And it was kind of interesting for that one because I was hired in February of 2020 as the events and communication coordinator.
Okay.
Well, March of 2020 is when COVID happened and everything shut down. So I was really humbled at the fact that they still kept me on board as a new employee that was supposed to be doing events because no one knew what was going to happen.
Yeah.
But it was actually that transition where I got to learn more about the other side of the nonprofit outside of marketing and events. So I got to do a little bit of the grant writing and I got to help support that admin back end that I hadn't been part of before. And after doing those different tasks, I again was like, you know what, I think I can do more. I want to challenge myself again. And I definitely got what I asked for. So I was just kind of keeping my eye open, and the position of executive director came up for Affordable Housing Alliance. And I'll be honest, I had not heard of the organization until I started talking to one of the board members. And I was kind of shocked that I hadn't heard about a nonprofit here in town because I thought I was really connected and plugged in. So I was really, really fascinated by that. So I had some conversations with the board members, and they at that time were looking for someone who could reconnect the nonprofit into the community, and really look at what does a fundraising campaign look like for the specific nonprofit and help people understand who we are, what we do, that we're a nonprofit, that we're not subsidized, all of these misconceptions that were out about us. And I said, you know what, that's a challenge that I'm ready to take that on. I like doing that kind of thing. I like being involved in the community. So that's what brought me into Affordable Housing Alliance. So I had no prior experience with anything housing related. But I knew it was a mission that was important and that it was something that the community needed. And I wanted to take part in that. After I got into the position, that's where things got a little wild because the more I was learning about housing and how many different facets there are to housing, I realized that the nonprofit, yes, it needed some community connection again, but what it really needed was a developer to come in and look at our current portfolio and how to make it better and how to grow. So I really had to pivot, and it's been a huge challenge for me learning basically an entirely new industry when I thought I was walking into a position that I knew what I could do. But it's been amazing. I've met some amazing people in the housing industry. We mentioned Jennifer Chappell at Habitat for Humanity earlier. She's been like my Midland housing mentor. It's been great, and we've trying to find ways on how to collaborate more between our organizations. Joe Coffey from Home to Stay is another housing colleague that is just amazing to work with. And between the three of us specifically, we are really one united force, and housing is important. It doesn't matter where it is on the housing spectrum, so to speak, but it's really important. And we want to show that united front to everybody that we're all working towards housing, but we're actually working in very different facets along that spectrum. So I love it when I get to present with them because we get to start with Joe at Home to Stay and talk about homeless prevention and what they do on the housing spectrum and how they might move along to Affordable Housing Alliance and getting someone into a unit that is they have to be income qualified for, it's rent regulated, and how we can then help move our residents up to maybe move them up and out to a Habitat house and really just help people push through and get to the goal, whatever it is, whether it's homeownership or a market rate rental, whatever that goal looks like for those households.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think even how our nonprofits work together, because even being a part of like Leadership Midland, I heard you speak, I heard Jennifer speak, and it's crazy how like integrated everything can be, and it's not like one versus the other. It's how can we work together. So even just hearing all of that from you, and also being from the area, and then coming back to it, you're like, I'm connected with the community. And then you hear about these different things like Home to Stay and Affordable Housing Alliance and different things like that. And it's so cool how the community works together to really support our community members.
It really is, and I don't think every place has that.
Yeah,
I think that's one more thing that makes Midland so unique, and especially being in the housing industry with the housing colleagues that I have here. They're just amazing to work with, and I know when we put on that united front and help to explain to our community, why it is so important and how we are working together, even though we're all doing different things, it's all for, the greater good of housing.
Yes. Yeah, the greater good of the people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is why we're in a nonprofit.
Exactly.
Like that's where our hearts are at.
Yes. I love that. And I love even, again, just learning more about the community and the things that you guys are doing, because everything you're doing is wonderful. So I guess last question for you. So even going back to people who either leave Midland or maybe they're here, but they're not very connected, what advice would you give to somebody to become more of a community member?
That's a great question. I think part of it is being willing to step out and just take a chance. If you see something on like the Max Lives Midland calendar where you're like, well, that might be kind of cool, go for it. Go see what it's like. Go see who you can meet. It can be really intimidating if you are moving into town and maybe don't have a lot of connections. But you'll never know who you're going to meet or what you're going to enjoy unless you go out and try it. So the Max Lives Midland calendar is a great resource for that. Anything downtown. I'm a big fan of downtown.
Yes,
I love everything we're doing down there. So just being able to walk along Main Street in the summer and see what's going on, or, grab an ice cream or a drink or whatever it is that you want, and just spend some time out in the community and find a passion. If you love to ice skate, we'll go to the Civic Arena and see when their free skates are, and maybe you can meet a friend that way. It really is just finding or being willing to go and look and see what's out there, and then actually going to do it.
I love that because there is so many things to do around
so
here.
many things.
So, yeah.
It's a little intimidating sometimes how many things there are.
Yes, even like Bay City and Saginaw, like if you include all of those, it's like, okay, you could have a whole itinerary for a weekend.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yes. Well, thank you, Mara, for coming on. I really appreciate it, and I'm sure I'll see you around.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.